Okay, hi. My name is Grace Dimmick, and this is my ethnography presentation. So, on my first slide, I thought I would just have this sentence to show the background of my experiences with grief. So it says, I've never had to deal with the loss of a parent, spouse, or child personally. And I thought this was important to add so that others can know that I've never lost anyone in my inner circle of people that are close to me. So, for this presentation, I decided that I wanted to explore and learn more about the culture of grief. So, for this project, I decided to go to a grief support group at the Intermountain Hospital. So, this group, it was led by a hospital therapist, and I was able to attend this group with my friend who lost her dad a couple of years ago to cancer. So it's a really amazing experience to be able to go with her and learn from others and experience this culture of grief that I've never been accustomed to. So at the group, there was a theme of the night that was embracing the uniqueness of your grief, which is something I would not really think of right off the bat. And so it was interesting that that happened to be the theme of the night that I was there. But there were these really awesome 12 categories that we discussed throughout the night, like the people in your life, the circumstances of the person who died, the cultural, religious, or spiritual background of the person who died or yourself, physical, mental health, all these sorts of things that really play into why grief is so unique. So it was just an awesome experience being able to hear the stories of so many people about what makes their grief so unique. It was very eye opening. So on this slide, I put what I learned. So in the first bubble, there's a quote by one of the men in the group who um, after he lost his teenage daughter to suicide, his family was at church and many people came up to them who had good intentions but came off rude or pushy with advice, different things. And so he said this quote and he said, It takes experiencing loss to realize what is best to say to someone grieving. And I think that's a beautiful sentiment because true empathy sometimes does come with experience. The next thing I learned is that grief isn't just a phase that ends, it's an ongoing process. It changes over time, but it's always there in some form. And then I learned that sometimes the best support I can give is to simply be there, to listen, and to acknowledge their feelings without judgment. Especially as someone who hasn't had this personal experience with grief yet, I think this is very important for me and for others who relate to me are able to do. Finally, grief is something personal and individual. There's no set timeline or right way to do it. So, taking all of this and applying it to my future classroom, I realized these main points. Number one, I want to create a nurturing environment that's safe for my students and that is a place where I am able to support those students who may be grieving. I also want to have empathy and individualized attention for all my students, but especially those who may be going through something invisible or something not able to be seen on the outside. I also hope to understand the uniqueness of each person's grief journeys and how different those really are. And I also want to be mindful of personal struggles and everything that my students are going through. And I think these are just five things that really stood out to me from the grief group and just what I learned from those who attended the grief group as to how I could better love and support other humans who I interact with. Thank you.